Alright, so Dana White just revealed a bunch of fights for UFC 323, and that card is insanely stacked. You have the rematch between Merab and Petr, #1 wanked fighter in the world Joshua Van taking on Alexandre Pantoja. Shout out Joshua Van, I didn't know he had motion like that. And then he revealed Jan Blachowicz taking on Bogdan Guskov, and finally Henry Cejudo versus Payton Talbott. Now I'm actually excited for Merab versus Petr too, even though Merab dominated Petr so bad in the first fight. Like genuinely, that is one of the most craziest performances ever. Merab is actually just built different. He shot like an insane amount of takedowns and only landed like 12, but the takedown spam was so insane. But regardless of how dominant that fight was, I am actually kind of excited to see this fight. It is a tricky one though, because I don't really know what Petr can change to make that fight any better. Like just stylistically, Merab is a nightmare for him just because of the way that Petr's guard is. He always keeps that high guard, which makes the double leg basically free to Merab. So I don't know if this fight is going to be any different. I hope it's not, because I want to watch that again. Just seeing Merab spam takedowns for 5 rounds. Maybe he can break his record from last time. But I think that Petr has improved. He's clearly been using his wrestling a lot more, and he's clearly worked on it a lot. Also, he just has PTSD from Merab. Like in the Song Yadong fight, Song Yadong feints a takedown, and Petr literally just launches himself across the octagon. Probably one of the hardest sprawls ever. He's clearly terrified of that double leg, but I'm excited to see Petr back in the title picture. I really wish that we were in an alternate universe without Merab so we could have Petr as champ. I'm actually really excited for Merab's title right now, because he might actually become the GOAT of the sport. He is very, very close. I mean, this guy was already the bantamweight GOAT the moment he won the title. He beat like 3 or 4 former champs, and they were good former champs too. He beat Jan, Cejudo, and then Jose Aldo, and then he beat Sean O'Malley, and then on top of that, now he has Umar and Sanhagen. Merab is just on a crazy win streak. He might actually become the GOAT of the sport. And it was something that Dana White mentioned. He is 2 wins away from having the longest win streak in UFC history, which is just insane. On top of that, he's also the bantamweight GOAT, obviously. His resume is crazy, and I mean, by the end of his career, it's probably going to be better than Jones, and I believe he's going to break a record if he wins as well for the most title defenses in a year. He's already broke like a ton of takedown records. Like, he genuinely might become the GOAT of the sport with this win. Okay, maybe not the GOAT of the sport, but he's definitely going to enter that top 5, and depending on how the rest of his career plays out, he might actually become the GOAT of the sport, which is very exciting. And then the next fight, Alexandre Pantoja versus the #1 wanked fighter Joshua Van.
And #1 ranked.
Like I said at the beginning, I did not know that the GOAT had motion like that. I'm not too sure how they got that statistic, but I mean, it really doesn't surprise me at all. Probably from all that bedtime glaze. But I'm actually really excited for this fight. This is a really interesting fight stylistically, because Joshua Van has never really been tested by a guy like Pantoja. Like, he's never even had a matchup close to that. But he is kind of a nightmare matchup for Pantoja, because he has good takedown defense, great boxing, and that's kind of like Pantoja's weaknesses. Steve Erceg was able to do well, and Joshua Van is probably way better than Steve Erceg. But again, at the same time, Joshua Van hasn't ever been tested like Pantoja's gonna test him, which is gonna make it a really exciting fight. Because another thing that people don't really talk about, Joshua Van is very undersized for the division, and for some reason a lot of people talk about this guy like he has a ton of power. I genuinely don't know where that's come from. Like, Joshua Van does not have like this crazy KO power. He has crazy pressure, he's really fast, but he's very undersized, and that's where Pantoja has a huge advantage, because Pantoja is huge for the division. So there's also a good chance that Pantoja just ragdolls him around, but that's what makes this fight so exciting. I'm still not sure who wins yet. It's kind of like a mini Bilal versus JDM, but Pantoja's way better than Bilal. In fact, I'd probably pick Pantoja to actually beat Bilal in a real street fight. I think I'd also pick like Macy Barber to beat Bilal. I think I'd also pick Ian Gary's son to beat Bilal in a street fight. But anyway, I also think that people are kind of overestimating Joshua Van a bit in this fight. Again, with the KO power thing, but also I think a lot of people forget with the Brandon Royval fight, he was on his way to losing that fight. He was definitely down in the 3rd round, or maybe not definitely, but in my opinion he was, before they had a point down moment in the last 10 seconds, and then Royval just gets dropped. Genuinely stupid moment from Royval. So it's not like he really just like dominated Royval, but regardless, it was a great fight. I'm leaning towards Pantoja, but Joshua Van is a very tough fight for him, and he's a nightmare stylistically, so I can see him winning the fight as well. Now the next fight, Payton Talbott versus Henry Cejudo. This fight is very random, like genuinely came out of nowhere. Payton Talbott won 1 fight, and they give this guy a ranked opponent. Meanwhile, the guy who fraud checked him, Raoni Barcelos, is still fighting like unranked bums. I'm not sure where the logic is there, but this is a great fight. I really do think this is a very close fight though. I'm not sure who wins, although I'm leaning Payton Talbott, but Henry Cejudo looked really good in that last fight against Song Yadong. Even though he was losing, he still looked very fast, and wrestling is a bit of a weakness for Payton Talbott, so maybe Cejudo can wrestle with him. But I think Payton Talbott has improved in the wrestling enough to where he can just keep it on the feet. I think he can probably outstrike Henry Cejudo, but at the same time, Cejudo was getting to Song Yadong, so it really depends if you think that Song Yadong is a way better striker than Payton Talbott. Either way, I'm really excited for that fight. And then the GOAT Bogdan Guskov is coming back against Jan Blachowicz. I actually don't know how to feel about that fight. I don't think that's like a great matchup or anything. I don't know why. Like, on paper, it is a pretty good matchup, but Jan Blachowicz is starting to look a bit old and slow, so I do feel like this fight could be like really boring, especially if it's going to be Jan Blachowicz just wrestling the whole time, because I do have a feeling that's going to happen, or we're just going gonna see Jan Blachowicz get put on a circle chain and get slimed out by Bogdan Guskov in the first round, although I feel like that's a bit unlikely to happen. Bogdan Guskov is okay, and I really do like him as a fighter a lot. He's one of my favorite light heavyweights, but he's just not that good. Like, this guy was controlled by Billy Elikana for a whole round. He has a lot of power, but he's still kind of wild. I do think that grappling is a bit of a weakness for him, so there's a good chance that we just see Jan Blachowicz just take him down and lay on him for 3 rounds. I feel like he would do this in this stage of his career, especially because of how much of a glaring weakness it is for Bogdan. Like, he tried to do the same with Alex Pereira, and also Bogdan is just so dangerous on the feet. I don't think that Jan Blachowicz is gonna want to deal with that, especially with how slow he is now. Like, I hope it's a good fight, but I'm just not sure it's going to be. Anyway, one last fight before I end the video. Malcolm Wellmaker versus Serhiy. That is a banger fight. I know there were some rumors about Malcolm Wellmaker versus Payton Talbott, and then there was some rumors about Wellmaker versus Alexandre, but Serhiy is a good fight too. I wouldn't really call him a prospect. He's definitely like an up-and-coming guy, but he's not really that good. It's still an interesting fight though, because Serhiy's kind of like a long-rangey kickboxer. I'm very interested to see how Wellmaker deals with that and that kind of style, because so far everyone has just ran into him and got immediately KO'd. But Wellmaker's one of the best prospects in the sport right now. His power is insane. His striking is really good. I'm pretty sure he's going to be ranked by next year, especially if he stays active. He's also just a super marketable and likable guy. I think he's probably going to sleep Serhiy in the first round though. Serhiy just really isn't that good. His only good win, or at least clear win, was against Cameron Smotherman, who is absolutely terrible. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. First video on the second channel. Let me know what you guys think about it. I'm going to have a UFC Vancouver predictions tomorrow. I've been having a lot of fun with the second channel, so I'm interested to see where this goes. But yeah, that's going to be it. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. All right.